And right now I will read from the Rays of the One Light, which is commentaries on the Bible and the Bhagavad Gita by Swami Kriyananda. This is week 29. Self-effort too is needed. Truth is one and eternal. Realize oneness with it in your deathless self within. The following commentary is based on the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda. These past weeks we discussed the need for balancing self-effort with receptivity to divine grace. Both are important in the spiritual life. Passive dependence on grace hasn't the magnetism to attract grace. Boastful self-confidence, however, which closes itself off from the higher divine power, is shallow, brittle, and given life's many uncertainties, susceptible to ultimate failure. There is a story in the Bible that illustrates the need to put forth personal effort so as to draw magnetically on the divine power. The story occurs in the Gospel of St. Luke, chapter 8. But as he went, the crowds nearly suffocated him. Among them was a woman who had had a hemorrhage for 12 years and who had derived no benefit from anybody's treatment. She came up behind Jesus and touched the edge of his cloak. As a result, her hemorrhage stopped immediately. "Who was it who touched me?" Jesus asked. When everybody denied it, Peter remonstrated. "Master, the crowds are all around, pressing you on every side." But Jesus said, "Somebody touched me. I felt power going out from me." When the woman realized that she hadn't escaped notice, she came forward, trembling, and fell at his feet, and admitted before everyone why she had touched him, adding that she had been instantaneously cured. "Daughter," Jesus said, "it is by your faith that you have been healed. Go in peace." Self-confidence and self-effort are necessary, as the ignition of a car is necessary to the motor. Of what use the ignition, however, if the motor itself will not work? Wise is he who recognizes the real power in the universe and guides his life by that supreme power, as it says in the Bhagavad Gita, the 9th chapter. "To those who meditate on me as their very own, ever united to me by incessant worship, I make good their deficiencies and render permanent their gains." Thus, through Holy Scripture, God has spoken to mankind. Om, Om, Om.
I'd like to read from the Whispers from Eternity by Paramahansa Yogananda. This is the Master's Book of Prayer Poems, and if you don't have a copy, you should definitely get one, because he talks about, when I'm gone, when you read my Whispers from Eternity, these words will ever speak to you. And this is what I opened up to this morning, and I hope it speaks to your heart as well as it's done mine. Driving the rebel king ignorance. O mighty mystic judge of life, I ask thee in my hall of soul stillness, what is sin? Thy whispers of silence, dim at first, grew into bright articulations of thought. I heard and understood thy meaning. Quote, "Sin is a rebel king. His name is ignorance. Ignorance is the perpetrator of all evil, the main root of the tree of ill health, the primal cause of all error and soul blindness. King Ignorance and his army of bacteria, physical disease, mental desires, dullness, and false ambitions, spiritual indifference to higher truths, have been devastating the nurturing harvest fields of spirituality. That harvest of countless fulfillments was ripe for reaping when the harsh tread of error trampled it to the ground. I wanted to weep with despair when I heard thy voice whispering to me in my soul, the sun of my protection shines on thee always, equally on thy sunny days and on thy coal-black nocturnal hours. Thou shouldn't always have faith in me and smile, for the greatest of all sin against me is not to be happy. Let the ripples of unceasing smiles play over thy face. Through thy transparency, my light will come to thine assistance. By smiling with determined happiness, thou wilt always please me. I remember a story of one of the saints of our path of self-realization. Her name is Kamala Silva. And Kamala was a young girl. She was about 18 when her and her mother moved into Mount Washington in 1925. They were the first residents at Mount Washington. Her mother was the first woman doctor in the city of Los Angeles. Might have been in the whole state of California. So they moved into Mount Washington, and she became the first woman minister of the movement of self-realization that Yogananda started. And here in Los Angeles in 1925, he came, of course, in 1920 as a representative from India. Kamala eventually initiated people into Kriya. I imagine hundreds or thousands of people into Kriya. She started the SRF Richmond Temple up in the Bay Area. And during the latter part of her life, she came to live at the Ananda Village, which was a wonderful blessing. Swamiji, she was in her old age, and her husband could no longer take care of her, and so Swamiji brought her to Ananda. And we were in a gathering meditating with Kamala. And she kept, after this meditation that we had, she says, I saw you. I saw all of you. You had beautiful smiles on your faces. And that really, sort of captivated me, because she was giving us just that glimpse of what the spiritual journey is about. And that is having that perpetual smile in your heart. No matter what comes, the Master said, let it come. Even in the midst of the crash of breaking worlds. And I don't know about you, but the reason why I'm on this path of self-realization, and I've been following these teachings for over 35 years, and there are certain times when you're sitting there in the stillness, and all of a sudden there's this energy that takes over. And I don't think it's not a possession or something like that, but you're actually being consumed by the joy and the love of God. And you start smiling spontaneously. I don't know if that's ever happened to you, but it's so wonderful when you're sitting there and all of a sudden all the thoughts go to rest, all the fears and the doubts and the worries, all the problems that you're going through in your life go to rest. And then that divine energy begins to manifest. This is what keeps me coming back. It's what Kamala Silva saw in each and every one of us, and it's what God and the great masters, it's what Swami Kriyananda brings. He walks into a room and you feel that presence of joy, of bliss, of God. I remember this one interesting event in Swami, in the Leela with Swami Kriyananda. Swamiji is such a dear friend. And we were living in Rome, Italy. This was back in the 80s. And Swamiji was doing a TV program. And this was every Wednesday, like clockwork. You know, we'd take Swamiji to his TV program, and he would do this 30-minute or an hour show. I forget exactly how long it was. Buongiorno Roma was the name of it. Good morning, Rome. Talking about meditation and yoga and so forth. And so this morning, Swamiji, we came out the door, and I had a flat tire. And so Swamiji says, well, we'll meet you at the TV station. On Sunday, we found a better way, in fact, much better than your way, which is sort of a very circuitous route. We found a better way to go anyway. Alex said, we'll meet you there, Swamiji. So we're sitting there, fixing my tire. Swami takes off. I change my tire, and then I go to the TV station, following my roundabout way in Rome. On Wednesday mornings, it can be terrible, the traffic. So we get to the TV station about 5 minutes late, and the producers and the directors of the show says, "Thank God you've arrived." You mean he's not here? And somebody's got to go on. You've got to go on. So I went on to this Rome television show in the place of Swami Kriyananda. And so here I am in my broken Italian, talking about the benefits of yoga and meditation practice on this citywide program, Buongiorno Roma. So, and at a certain point, 5 minutes before the show's over, Swami comes in. And you should have seen the relaxation. He came and he told the audience, the Rome audience, he says, "You can't imagine what happened today. We were stuck in Rome traffic." And I kept thinking, when I was in that Rome traffic, that everything would be all right. And here I see my assistant, Ram Smith, is here on your show. And I think we're going to bring him back next week, too. I ended up doing that show for over a month. But that's, when you're in that divine flow, nothing can disturb you. There's another wonderful story of Swamiji that he tells. He was going up skiing, coming up from the Ananda village. He was driving his car with a group of people going up to ski up at Lake Tahoe. And he was traveling along, and then there was traffic, and he put on his brakes, and the brakes went right to the floor, and the car went into a skid, and it ran right into the back of the bus, totaled his car. They all jumped out of the car, and they said, "Well, I guess we just jump on this bus that's going up to Lake Tahoe." And they threw their skis on and just got on the bus and continued on their journey and didn't miss a beat, There's an expression in the movie industry, or in performing arts, the show must go on. And it's so true. We are faced constantly with problems in our lives. There's an accident, bam, and things just happen all the time. But every situation is neutral. It depends on how you color it, negative or positive. There's that story today in the Bible. Here, this woman who had been seeking healing for 12 years. It says she had been hemorrhaging. I'm not a doctor. What a hemorrhaging is it bleeding? Yeah. So maybe she had a cancer or something or other. She'd been going from one person to another for 12 years. And then she saw the Master, Jesus. And the thought came to her, the intuitive flash came to her. If I can only just touch the hem of his garment, I know that I will be healed. And she did that. And Jesus said, well, who touched me? And there's this crowd of people, you can imagine yourself in a, shopping mall, where there's, at the end of the month sale or something, everyone is crowding into the mall, into the store. The Apple store is probably a good example. I got to get the new iPad or the iPhone, and you're crowding around, jostling, trying to get in there, and you're bumping up against, who touched me? And the Master felt that there was someone who was in tune with that divine Christ consciousness that drew on the magnetism and the power. And actually, this woman who was healed instantaneously because she had that faith, that desire, that intensity of wanting to be healed, and instantaneously she was healed. And then Jesus says, who touched me? Who drew that power out of me? And that is our journey, folks. Every moment of every day we have the opportunity to touch the hem of the Master's garment, which is omnipresence. A lot of times we have our plans. There's an expression, man proposes and God disposes. We have our plans and we're all revved up and we're going to do this. Okay, we're going to do that. We've got our list down. We're going to take care of this today and we're going to do that and we're going to, and then bam, we're hit by a car. Or bam, something else happens. You come down with cancer. Bam, someone robs you. Bam, someone is upset with you. You're hit in all these different directions. And it's really important for us to keep our center, our balance. Whatever comes, let it come. If we can keep that center within, and this is why we meditate. We meditate so we can generate those inner smiles of bliss. And it's like a bank account. We keep depositing it into that bank account every day of meditation. And we build up this reservoir of good karma. And that good karma eventually transcends all negative influences to the point where whatever comes, let it come. Whether I'm stuck in Rome traffic, or if I'm going through congestive heart failure, or if I'm having this. And I've seen Swami Kriyananda go through all of these things. And I say, I talk about Swamiji because he's such a dear friend. And what is a friend? A friend is someone who takes on the role of a guide or helping you to see how to transcend life difficulties yourself. And I've seen again and again through this friend, J. Donald Walter, Swami Kriyananda, absorbing not only his own karma, but the karma of other people. And that's what the divine friend, that's what the guru is all about. The guru has a power through his own activity to absorb your karma into himself. There was a story of Master Paramahansa Yogananda in Autobiography of a Yogi. When he was a child, he came down with Asiatic cholera. And for those of you who've been to India, it's the most dreaded disease in the whole world, because cholera, you're just all the channels are open in your body. Fluids are coming out in front, behind, everywhere. Everywhere they can come out, they come out. And it dehydrates you to the point where you die. That's what Asiatic cholera is. So Master Paramahansa Yogananda was a young child, and he had this disease, and he was dying. The doctors had given him up. His mother, with great faith, said to him, if you only look at this image of Lahiri Mahashaya, my guru, if you only can mentally bow before me, he was so weak he said he couldn't even lift his hand. He said, if you only mentally bow before him, offer yourself to him in prostration, he will touch you. And sure enough, Mukunda, this avatar who had come as a conscious being back into the world to help humanity, to awaken every, as he said, every stray brother, I will come again and again and again. With bleeding feet I will come. How many times has he come already in this incarnation as Yogananda? Mukunda bowed before the image of Lahiri Mahashaya, and all of a sudden there was a flash of light that came out of, you come here on Sunday and you think, all these pictures on the wall, I don't worship pictures. These are not pictures, ladies and gentlemen. These are images of divine consciousness, of men who have lived. They're not even men. They're beings of light that have chosen the physical form of a man in this incarnation. And they're beings of light. And when Yogananda as a child bowed before Lahiri Mahashaya, these streams of light came out. He was healed instantaneously. And the mother who was there saw the light come out and began to bow, my Guru, Lahiri Mahashaya, you've healed my son. Guruji, you've healed my son. I don't think Lahiri Mahashaya was even in his physical body at the time. I think he had already transitioned. There was a story of a woman who came to Ananda village. She came to the expanding light. And she had a wonderful time, but it was nice coming to this beautiful retreat center in Nevada City in the hills. But I'm not a devotee of this path, but let me buy something in the boutique and take it home with me. So she bought a little picture of Paramahansa Yogananda, and she put it on her mantelpiece at home and forgot about it. Years passed, and she lost a dear friend who passed away. And she thought, what is the purpose of life? I don't want to live anymore. And she decided she was going to commit suicide and go to the ocean and let the ocean take her. She was putting on her coat and getting ready to leave her house. Now she's telling us the story after this had happened. And she noticed that the image of Yogananda on her mantelpiece began to move. And all of a sudden, like out of a Star Trek transporter room, he was there in front of her. And she said, well, where did you come from? He says, I'm always here. I've been always here. And I know exactly what you're going to do. You want to go and take your life down at the ocean. Listen, if you do that, you'll have to come back again and deal with the same grief that you're going through right now in the loss of your loved one. Better go through this grief-ridden experience, this mental depression that you're going through now, and become stronger in yourself than allow yourself to deny life altogether. And he blessed her, and then withdrew, like out of a Star Trek transporter room, back into this picture. And she was so excited, she didn't go for a swim that night at the beach, to say the least. few days later, she went up to the Ananda village and she told everyone, she says, you know, I haven't been up here for years, but I have to tell this story. This just happened to me, and I feel so much better, and I feel like I've reached the lowest point in my life, now I'm moving up. And then she left. She wasn't a devotee of Yogananda or anything. And so, whatever we come to in our lives, whether it's, reaching the point of foreclosure on our house, or, the absolute worst thing, we're seeing cities going bankrupt here in California, Stockton, San Bernardino. Think of all the people who were on pension, who worked in those city governments, who are maybe 90 years old, who are totally cut off. Think of, the impact if those dominoes begin to fall even here in Los Angeles or across the country. If you have that anchor within you, getting in touch with that inner wellspring, whatever comes, let it come. Because I'm anchored in your smiles. I am anchored in your bliss. And I know that I will be protected no matter what. This is the attitude of the devotee. This was the attitude of this woman who came with great faith, who for 12 years had been trying to get healed of her ailment. The Master says, never give up. The worst thing in the world, is to call yourself a sinner. I mean, the sin is that we have this attitude of sin, and Yogananda simply defines it as ignorance. And the greatest sin is calling yourself, I'm no good, I did this, I failed in this, I failed in that, I'm broke. And keep that smile of eternal bliss on your face, no matter what, in the midst of the crash of breaking worlds. There was a woman, a friend of mine, who was dying of AIDS. She had been injected with the HIV through a blood transfusion, and she lived at the Ananda village. Her name was Happy Whittingham. And the doctors had given her up. You maybe have a month. In fact, she died within that month. She went to the other side, and during this experience of being on the other side, the angels and light beings said, Happy, do you want to stay with us, or do you want to go back and help people to transcend this dreaded disease? Her name was Happy, Happy Whittingham. And so she said, no, I want to go back. And of course, she told us this story after she came back. And she went on for 15 years of going out and doing AIDS awareness programs in cities throughout the United States. She had this sort of monologue that she called the ribbon dance. And she told her story through dance and through pantomime and singing, and it was just this wonderful thing. Well, eventually, she did transition. But when she transitioned, and I was blessed to be a part of that transition, there was so much joy in the room. And this is our journey, folks. We came into this world, we're breathing the free air of life. Didn't cost us a cent. Didn't cost us a dime. But we have to pay the price of living our life with the consciousness of either going with the ego, this is what I want to do, or going with, this is what God wants me to do. And God has a plan for each and every one of us. No matter if we're working at IBM or doing construction or playing the part of a minister here at Ananda, or playing the part in a movie. It doesn't matter what we do. It's doing it with the consciousness that we're being guided. We're in tune with the Creator and the Director of the universe, and we're going to play our part to the very best of our ability. And when it's our time to transition and this body is put into the ground, Yogananda, his body is at Forest Lawn, the mortuary. And one of the devotees was going there, and she was crying, "Oh, Master, why did you leave us?" And he spoke into this woman's ear, her inner right ear of intuition, said, "I'm not in there." "I'm not in there. Don't be fooled. I'm not in there." We become hypnotized to the thought that this is who we are, but we're not this body. We are the eternal Atman, that eternal soul that is formless, that is deathless, and that disease may come, illness may come, accidents may come to destroy this form. Fire cannot burn it. Water cannot destroy it, as it says in the Gita. This soul is eternal. Let us awaken up to our soul quality. In that power, live in the faith that you are a child of God, that you are a son and a daughter of God. And that's why we're here. That's the whole play. Let's smile and be happy. How does that song go? Don't worry. Be happy. God bless you all on your journey.